So let's talk about a story that pretty much everyone thinks they know. But the version most of us have in our heads, the one with the ruby slippers and the Technicolor, is a little different from the original. We're diving into L. Frank Baum's 1900 novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Right from the get-go, in his own introduction, Baum tells you exactly what he's trying to do. This quote is really the key. He was on a mission to create a totally new kind of story for American kids, one that had all the magic of the old Grimm's fairy tales, but, and this is crucial, without all the horrible and blood-curdling incidents that were meant to teach some kind of scary moral. Yeah, his whole goal was to create a uniquely American wonder tale. This was not going to be another grim story set in some dark European forest. No, this was an adventure meant to be fun, meant to be joyful, a fantasy that felt like it came right out of the American experience. And you can see just how high the stakes are from the very first pages. Look at this contrast. Kansas isn't just a place on a map, it's a feeling. The book calls it a great gray prairie, where the sun has literally baked all the color and life out of everything. But Oz is a land of marvelous beauty, just exploding with color and magic. So this isn't just a trip, it's an escape from a drab, joyless reality into a world of pure imagination. And how does she get there? Well, in a quintessentially American way, a cyclone. And it doesn't just whisk her away, it literally rips her entire house from its foundations, carrying her from that world defined by one single oppressive color to a brand new land where color is everything. Let's just sit with that idea of gray for a second. The book goes on and on about it. The sun and the wind had turned Aunt Em's eyes and cheeks gray. The house was gray. The grass was gray. It's this world that's been completely bleached of any and all laughter or life. But the second that house touches down, that gray world is just shattered. Dorothy opens the door and steps into the land of the Munchkins, and suddenly everything is blue. Their houses are blue, their hats are blue, the fences are blue. It's the very first clue that the rules of her world just don't apply here. And then she gets a path. Not a winding, confusing trail through the woods, but a clear, bright road paved with yellow brick. It's this optimistic line cutting right through the countryside, a literal road of hope that promises to lead her to her goal. And you can even see her destination from far away. The Emerald City gives off this powerful green glow that lights up the sky. In this new world, green is the color of power. It's the home of the wizard, and it represents the ultimate promise that her wish will be granted. Of course, she's not going to make this trip by herself. On her way down that yellow brick road, she starts to assemble her crew, a real fellowship. But the funny thing is, what brings them all together isn't their strength. It's what they each think is their biggest weakness. And really, this is the question at the absolute heart of the story. Each one of Dorothy's new friends is totally convinced that they're missing some crucial piece of themselves, and they've put all their hope in this one wizard to make them whole. So first up, you've got the Scarecrow. He's just stuffed with straw, and his number one fear is that someone will call him a fool. To him, brains aren't just useful, he's convinced they are the only thing worth having. He's absolutely desperate for Oz to give him some. Then they find the Tin Woodman. And his backstory is just tragic. See, he used to be a real man, but a witch put a curse on his axe that made it chop off his body parts one by one. Each time, a tinsmith replaced the part with tin, until he was made entirely of metal. But in that whole process, he lost his heart, and with it, his ability to love or feel any kind of happiness. And he pushes right back on the Scarecrow, saying, brains don't make you happy, a heart does. And finally, they meet the Cowardly Lion. Here's this majestic king of beasts who's living in a constant state of shame. He admits that anytime there's even a hint of danger, his heart starts beating like crazy, and to him, that completely normal reaction feels like this deep personal failure that makes his life just unbearable. So this little group of misfits, a lost girl, a scarecrow who thinks he's dumb, a tin man who can't feel, and a lion who's terrified, they finally make it to the glowing Emerald City. But when they get to the gate, they find out there's a really, really weird rule you have to follow to get inside. The guardian of the gates basically tells them, hey, this city is so bright and glorious, it'll blind you if you're not careful. So everyone, visitors, people who live there, everybody, has to wear a pair of green-tinted spectacles. And here's the wild part, he locks them onto their heads. The guardian is the only one with the key. It's this kind of brilliant, sneaky way of making absolutely sure that everyone sees the city through the exact same green lens. Okay, so they get inside, and now they have to actually see the wizard. Oz agrees, but on one condition. He'll only see them one at a time and on different days. This is a super clever move because it lets him build up this incredible aura of power and mystery. And what each of them sees in that throne room is completely different. This is how he builds the whole myth around himself. Dorothy walks in and sees this giant, disembodied head. The Scarecrow sees a beautiful lady with wings. The Tin Woodman has to face down a horrible beast, and the lion is confronted by a giant ball of fire. Oz is a master of illusion, showing up as a different, scary figure for each of them, and never, ever showing his true self. But even with all these amazing displays of power, the wizard doesn't just hand out favors. He tells them all the same thing. Look, around here, you gotta pay for what you get. If they want his help, well, they have to do something for him first.
And his demands sound simple, but also completely impossible. He tells this small, meek girl, this brainless Scarecrow, this heartless Tin Woodman, and this cowardly lion that they have to go and destroy the most powerful wicked witch left in the entire land of Oz.
And that brings us to the biggest question in the whole book. The wizard sends them off on a quest to get a brain, a heart, and courage, but what if the quest itself is the only thing they need to prove they had those things all along? It really makes you wonder, maybe the most important journeys aren't about finding something you lack, but about finally discovering the strength that was inside you the whole time.